What's up, everybody? Welcome to First Eps, episode 10. Holy cow, we did it. Double digits, baby. This week we're talking about the brand new HBO series. Just aired the first episode, The Nevers.
Yep.
Victorian powers. We're going to talk all about it. So it was an action-packed episode. So we're gonna get right into it. My name is Eric.
I'm Keith.
And this is First Eps. All right, so big episode, a lot of stuff to talk about. But first, let's talk about you, Keith. What have you been up to? Let's talk about us.
All the good times, all the bad things that will be. Let's talk about us,
baby. What have you been up to?
So it's been a big week. I've got a job back up in Buffalo.
Yay!
Yep. So
that's where I am.
Up by you.
Yeah.
At some point in time, we're just closing on a condo up there in what I thought was an old schoolhouse. Now it turns out it's an old women's and children's asylum.
Even better. No, yeah, like you texted the other day, you're like, ghost babies is like what you said. And it's like, what? Out of context, I didn't know what that was. And then I saw more of the text and it was like, cool. But hopefully there's not like just spectral crying or whatever, just regularly.
Well, because the whole thing started with the whole ghost baby thought, because I saw this picture of the hospital back in the day and it showed literally babies on top of babies in these carriages and stuff, all these rooms in there, and I'm thinking, oh my god, that's a lot of babies. And thinking, could there be ghost babies? And
when was that from?
1900. Like,
so right around the time of the show that we watched.
That's true. You're right. It's not too much later. Yeah. What a great segue. Yeah. So interesting. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's exciting. I'm very excited for you to be moving back here. And B, we're going to have to figure out a new setup for our podcasting.
Yeah.
This has been working very well. So we're going to have, we need like a two-person podcast area.
I mean, what I'm excited about, I don't know if you remember, but it does have a really big, like 12-foot ceilings, and it's got this bookcase that's from the floor to ceiling. So I can see kind of the chairs in front of it, cups of coffee or beer, good lighting. Obviously, our significant others, with the lights on us and the camera work, and just a real grade A production.
Oh yeah, we're gonna ramp this thing up big time. Now, we're gonna need to soundproof that entire room. I hope you're okay with that. Just just so that there's no acoustics in this old asylum.
Yeah. I mean, because we don't want to hear the babies that are haunted in the next room over.
That's true.
Coming on through.
Although it might be cool if we ever do like some sort of paranormal episode.
Well, we could do it right from my house.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool.
Exactly. Or we just switch genres altogether and just go into we just do just like we do the Ouija board and try to contact babies.
Baby. Goo goo gaga.
Yeah.
Perfect.
That's great. Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to you coming back here. And I don't need to help you move anything, right?
No, not this time.
All right, perfect. That's all that really matters to me. So,
and I can get the stuff out of your attic too.
Win. Yeah. It's all happening.
Yeah.
But yeah, speaking of it's all happening, let's talk about the show.
All right.
It was all happening on The Nevers.
Yeah.
Hold your horses.
All right, let's get into it. Oh, what do we got there? What do we have today? Kombucha? What is that?
Ruby Red Kolsch. It's grapefruit Kolsch from Genesee Brewing. It's my favorite summer. It's a nice summer treat.
I didn't know that Genesee did kind of fun flavors. I thought they just kind of cream and
it's delicious.
The more day-to-day variety.
Especially if you like grapefruit. It tastes just like a grapefruit.
I do.
Fantastic.
Cool. Nice.
Okay, so let's talk about this show. Set in London, 1899. And
1899 actually?
It was. So right around the same time that your place, maybe your place had some of the touched in there. Who knows?
Yeah.
But first of all, there will be some minor spoilers for the first episode coming up right now because there was so much happened So very much happened in 1 hour. And we're going to try to talk about most of it because it all seemed fairly important. I don't know. So just the way it starts, it took like a few minutes for really anything to happen. It was like just a really long montage with music, with like an orchestra, and it was just shots of a bunch of different women, basically like going about their day.
Yep, in London. Yep.
Yeah, and then we hear like sounds like thunder or something, and then one of the women jumps like off a cliff, and flash forward 3 years later.
It wasn't really a cliff. It was into like the water.
Yeah, but it was like definitely, it was not just like she was walking out into a lake or something. She's like just jumped off of something.
I mean, she did just jump off. That's true. Yeah. I mean, but it wasn't like a mountainside. I mean, I'm seeing like the Swiss Alps.
Yeah.
Say that, and I want to make sure the viewers know that not to expect that scene.
Well, I mean, we weren't there. So then fast forward 3 years later, and we see these two women with did you know that the one was the woman that jumped in the water right away?
No.
Okay, no, me neither.
Yeah.
One of them was the one that jumped in the water, and then this other woman, and they're like super fancy, with umbrellas, and they're just all jaunty.
Yeah. They're walking purposefully. They're in, one of them is in a workshop, very steampunk-esque workshop.
Very steampunky.
Super cool though.
Yeah.
I'm sure like Liz, your wife, loved that part.
She did. She was like, "You didn't tell me this was like steampunky," and I was like, "Yep, definitely is." And then so they're going to a house because right in the beginning we learn that there are these people that have 3 years ago, whatever this noise was in the sky, it touched people, mostly women. And gave them some sort of abilities or transformed them in some fashion.
Yep. And we know that there's a government group that is kind of investigating them, kind of like a CIA or something, FBI, keep an eye on them and seeing if they get out of hand, they might have to take them out too. So we learned that very early on too. We don't know much more about that than that mission, than that aspect of it, but they might be dangerous is all we know at this point too.
So immediately, and then so the first scene, they're going to check on one of these young girls who was touched. And immediately I'm like, yo, this is Victorian X-Men. Like right off the bat. I'm like this chick's Professor X.
Yep. The Saint Flavia's home for orphan children is the what's it called?
Yeah. Charles Xavier's School for the Gifted, whatever. Yeah, and I was like, okay, here we go. So they go and they get this young girl who turns out her ability kind of stinks. He just speaks in a different language now.
I know. I was like, I mean, she's going to. They thought so. The parents of that girl thought that maybe she was touched by the devil or something.
Yeah, she just speaks Chinese or something.
But that's it. But then the dream duo that we've come to meet. There's one who is the one who threw herself in the water, aka off the cliff. And then the one is the one who is the scientist lady go to try to talk with her. And they say, no, she's not possessed. She's speaking Chinese and Russian. She's not speaking ancient Aramaic or Latin. She's just touched. And they're like, get her out of here then or something. And
then it was funny. Their family was like, well, there were those Chinese acrobats that we saw. It was like,
I saw them looking at her.
Yeah, ridiculous. But like, so at one point we see the main woman, her name is Mrs. True. We see her kind of just flash somewhere. She was like anxious and then she flashed somewhere. And I was like, did she like teleport or something? Come to find out later in that scene that she just saw the future, like a very brief glimpse of the future. And which is a weird power because like, how do you, it's got to be tough to, it's such a fast glimpse. Like, how do you use that to your ability? We've been more like thinking about like, what the heck is happening?
Yeah.
You know?
And in fact, didn't she kind of get lost in it for a second? Then her comrade kind of snapped her out of it.
Yeah, exactly. She just, because like, I think a lot of it was like, comes from that anxiety where she just needs to be, she does this thing where she like touches her fingers when she's like starting to like noises. So,
that reminds me of Behind Her Eyes. If anybody was kept watching that show.
Yeah, go watch that episode of First Eps. And then So her friend's name is Penance,
Mm-hmm.
and she is like a scientist doing this steampunk stuff. And she's got like these cool gadgets and stuff. But the best thing was like, so they're going to get this Myrtle girl, the girl that speaks Chinese, and they're like running from these creepers are trying to steal Myrtle.
Yeah, all of a sudden they're downstairs trying to convince the parents to send her with them, and they hear them crash upstairs, and they go running up. And
so they go chase them out.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, they fight. They're running away. Tiny little car shoots out. I mean, it was like
wait.
It was the best part. I was like, this car, look at this little car. And like there's horses and buggies, and she's driving this little car. I'm like, this chick. And then I'm like, yo, this chick is beast. She's beast.
I mean, that's kind of true. Yeah. Well, who would you say? What's her name? True.
Yeah. Amalia True.
Yeah. One thing to mention is that we find out that not only can she see glimpses of the future, but she's also a very strong fighter.
Yes.
She's definitely, I don't know if part of her abilities come from the fact that she can see what the opponents are going to, kind of like Rain. Was that her name from, remember that Joss Whedon's other one?
Yeah.
She could see the future kind of. So she was a really great fighter because of that.
Yes.
What was that show? Firefly. Yes. I'm wondering if this is kind of echoes of that too. So I don't know, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this show is definitely, there was not like a very original, there was not a single original idea, I'm going to say, in it.
Did you see the flashback to Dawn season 8 of Buffy?
Which part?
The Dawn from the cartoon or from the comic books when she becomes like ginormous.
Oh yeah. What was her name? Yeah. Her name was like Penelope or something like that. Yes.
We learned about this giant lady later on too.
Yeah.
She's actually a giant girl. I'm like, that's Dawn.
Yeah, it looked like
watched Buffy after Buffy ended on the air. They had the whole comic book continuation, and Dawn became large.
Yes.
So yeah.
Yes.
Like Wonderland large.
So I mean, we're getting away from ourselves, but it's hard because they jam packed so much stuff in this episode. And while we're talking about Buffy and not original ideas, so for the people that don't know, this was written, directed, created by Joss Whedon. Now, everything besides the end credits that says Joss Whedon was removed from this movie. He's not used in the marketing at all.
Yeah.
Nothing. And it's obvious because he turned out to be like a total creep.
Yep.
And even when we chose this one, like I knew I wanted to see it before because it's right in our wheelhouse.
Yeah.
And especially being like growing up, being like a huge Joss Whedon fan with Buffy, and then even the his X-Men run in the comics was like one of my favorites. And then his like the movies that he did, all that stuff. So it was like a real big bummer when he turned out to be like just a creeper.
Just another one of those Hollywood users who just like shit on women. It's ridiculous.
Yes. And especially someone that was always so like about like feminism. And then to find out that was all bullshit. Like it's even like it's even worse. So
it just makes it creepy. And just
like he was using this faux feminist like outlook to like get closer to women and like then like behind the scenes like pushing them down. I didn't want to get into him.
But what his
too much
should be. Yeah, I don't like that.
Yeah, I didn't want to get into it too much. I want to just talk about the show, but it's hard because he was so involved in the creation of it. And especially how we're talking about like there's all these rehashed ideas that he used, so it's obviously worth mentioning that. And then like some of that you do like then wonder like some of the stuff, like the lines in it, or like some of the stuff that like, I don't know, at one point the woman's just like fighting in like her underwear or whatever, and it's like you wonder like at what point like
wait, I don't remember that part. Oh yeah later on. Okay.
Yeah. So like, and it's like it kind of like takes away from it knowing that he's like, it might have been like a creepy incident. Now we will say that like HBO and the person who ran this show said that there were no incidents on the set involving any of that, and they were very sure of that, confident that everything was on the up and up. So we will say that, and that's not but all right, let's get back to the show because like again, like this hour was, and that was one of my other one of the things I didn't like about the show is that there was so much happening, and I was like, how are we going to talk about all of this? But we'll try our best. Let's do it.
So let's go back to the part. So what is the girl's name who's getting abducted? Almost abducted?
Myrtle.
Okay. So Myrtle and True, Myrtle's almost abducted by these people who crash through the window. True comes up, they're like zombie guys or something, right? True comes up, they fight, they grab Myrtle, they all run away into this carriage, but the zombie guys get on horses and they're chasing them through the streets of London. Myrtle, True, and Penelope, no, Prudence.
Penance.
Are in this horse-drawn carriage, and they're like, we'll never outrun them. And Penance is like, don't worry about it. And then they burst out in the car that you described 20 minutes ago.
Also, there was it was like a self-driving carriage. They had like a robot like thing like running it.
That's right, because one of the bad guys ripped off like the head, and it was just like this R2D2 thing.
Yeah, very cool. And then right after that, super simple intro, just the title thing. And I thought what was funny too, like, I mean, the intro is 2 seconds, if that. And then there's a little thing in the bottom corner that says like to skip the intro. And I'm like, it would take you longer to like click to skip the intro than the actual intro, which I thought was funny. And then we learn about one of the big villains in the series, I believe, Malady. She's basically like a reverse Jack the Ripper. She's just like some crazy lady who's killing, well-to-do men. And she's touched. She's one of the touched. They don't really get into like what her ability was.
I mean, we find out, well, later on, you mean she's the one that comes to, like, we find her later on, right? Where they have the big fight?
Yes.
That's Malady. Okay, yeah. Do we want to talk about her now? I mean, I'm happy to. Yeah, so I think her ability, I'm not sure about that. It might be durability. Because she was getting, basically using her body against True for, like, a weapon. Just over and over again until she, like, beat True down. Like,
yeah. Yeah, so I don't know. Like,
but yeah.
She only just, like, uses, like, she cuts people up with knives and stuff. Like, so...
That was a spine saw, I think, what it was.
Oh.
Yeah, that's used for post-surgical that she used. Post-mortem surgery, rather. I was like, I know that instrument.
Yeah, she's a very cool character. Let's see, what else was there? So there was a meeting of that organization, yes. And they were talking about like how they could stop it. What were they doing with those big hourglasses?
I didn't get that either. Yeah, so there's this meeting of kind of like, the angry white men who are in charge of the city, trying to protect its ideals. And they're of course against the ladies who are, more emancipated and more powerful. And they're not, and of course they do have some reason to be afraid because some of these women, like what's your name again? Malady, are known to be dangerous.
Yeah.
But yeah, so during the scene when they're kind of talking about what's going on, what the latest news is about the touched, they kept turning over hourglasses, and then
it was weird.
So each one of them doing it.
Yeah, I couldn't figure it out. It was like I thought maybe it was like how long they could talk, but then they were all just talking randomly and stuff. It was weird.
Yeah, I'm sure that's going to be a coming thing. My assumption is that they have some connection to either blocking out so they can't read their thoughts, or there's some alternative motive to that sand to help them be protected.
Yeah. Oh, that's a cool thought. I like that.
Nefarious people.
Yeah.
They seem kind of nefarious. I don't know if that's true.
They definitely do. They definitely seemed like, I don't know. Then we meet Detective Frank Monday, who is like, he's trying to solve the Malady thing. He's just a detective character, your regular old detective, hard-nosed,
but a tough life.
Exactly. Yeah. And they're like digging a subway or something, which was interesting too. So
that's cool.
So we could believe that like whatever this ability was that touched these people also advanced society quite a bit in terms of what they could do. Because there's like just regular subway cars driving through and stuff. And then we go
I'm trying to think though, the underground might have been built before then.
Yeah, but even if it was like the subway cars that they showed were like
Were they? I didn't see them. Okay, I don't remember.
Yeah, they definitely seemed like more advanced than they should have been for the time.
Okay, gotcha. It's like the tube of today, where it's just like modern cars on it.
It looked like that to me, and then I had to like do a double take, but then they were gone. So I could be entirely wrong, but that's what it looked like to me. I've never been wrong before. I will just say this ever in the history of time. So just take it as you will.
Right. Oh, I'm not betting against you.
Then we go and we meet the rich douchebag guy who was in the middle of a threesome.
Shirtless.
Yep, his name is Hugo Swan.
Of course.
Yep. And there's really no it doesn't say who he is or whatever. And then there's another guy that comes along.
Kind of smart, but dithering, is a little bit like unsure of himself, asking for this guy's help.
Yeah, I don't have his name. I think his last name was Bidlow. I think he was. But yeah, he comes there and he's like, I need your help.
And these are two like aristocratic guys. These aren't like salt guys.
Yes. Yeah, they're just like we really don't know what they are at this point. They're just two dudes. And then we go back. We finally go to the orphanage that we've heard about, where like Miss True takes all of the touched girls. And I'm sure we meet your favorite character.
The girl who grows the plants?
Nope, Dr. Horatio Cousins.
I do like him. I was so excited. Yes, I'm like, oh, there's a doctor. Yes.
Yeah.
And
or mystical
we'll talk
healer.
More about it. Go ahead.
I mean, he's a healer. Like he has healing powers.
Well, you see, that's the funny part is that so in the beginning of this show too, it's interesting. The guys we were talking about, that like secret organization of like the elite white men. They seem to think that only women have been touched. But as the episode progresses, we come to see that there are some guys that also seem to have it. But we don't know really, besides the doctor, what the guy's powers may or may not be. And I find that interesting, and I wanted to talk to you about that. Do you want to talk about it now, or should we wait?
Sure.
So I'm wondering if the touched powers, so to speak, are actually like a role reversal of gender, so that like the more like the females get the more like outward like masculine kind of powers, strength, things that you can see, and the males get the more like feminized powers, maybe more like healing internal like psychic things. I have no idea, because we see definitely at least two other guys during one scene like light up as though they've got powers, but they're really the only two people we would know that we haven't seen what they actually do.
Yeah,
it's interesting.
And it's possible, more of Joss Whedon's like faux feminist portrayal. But I think it's too early to tell. We've only really seen one guy with powers. We saw another guy who just has like a machine gun arm. So I don't know if that's a power.
Arm. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Which gets ripped off, which was awesome during a fight scene from True.
So that we meet the next character we meet, the Beggar King, played by Nick Frost from Edgar Wright movies, and he's supposed to be like the scary guy. He runs the streets basically. Any information goes through him. And at one point, thought it was awesome. He tells Miss True that like, I'll cut your face or whatever, and she just like leans into the blade. And she says, "This isn't my face." Yeah. Like, what does that mean? Yeah, that was awesome.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And then he's like, "Oh shit, this is one tough broad."
Yeah. So he backs down.
And then one of his cronies is like, "I thought you were gonna scare them." And he's like, "Show me your hands."
Yeah.
"Show me your effing hands."
Yeah.
And he brings out his blade, and we're like, "Oh."
Yeah. Okay, luckily, we didn't have to see that part though, because I was already cringing. I was like, I don't want to see it. And then we go to the opera, another part that I'm sure you were like so excited for.
Oh my gosh. So far let's recap for a second. We've had, some psychic powers. I'm into that.
Yeah.
We've got the threesome with the menage a trois, with the Victorian love affair, into that. We've got the healer. I'm totally on board with this. And I love the fact that it's a guy healer too, because usually they do make it into women for some reason, even though men can heal just as much as women. I don't know why.
Yep.
And now we're at the opera, and I'm like,
Mhm.
okay. You know, in a way, this has a very Penny Dreadful vibe to it too, where we're
Yes.
really hitting up all the highlights of what you experience, or what you expect Victorian England to be.
Yeah.
The mood isn't as dark as Penny Dreadful,
No.
but it's great. Like the scenery, they're all. I
Yes.
can tell it's going to be a really fun romp to see more England again at this point time period.
Yeah. As soon as we were at the opera, I was like, this Keith's gonna love this for everything it is. It's like all that stuff in Victorian England. It's like, of course.
Oh my god! And they were in the box seats, which is exactly where I like to sit.
You love it. You're very, very fancy with your topping hat and your cane of candy.
Well, see, that's the ironic part. Everybody thinks it's fancy, but those are actually the cheaper seats. So yeah. But you know, no one has to tell that. Maybe Victorian times was different.
Probably.
But remember, she got attacked because a girl could climb up on her. That's why they're cheap.
That's true. So we're at the opera, and it's all the players, all the main players are like all talking to one another. I thought that was interesting.
Mm-hmm. Oh, we also have the woman in the wheelchair, like Professor X.
Yes, Lavinia Bidlow.
Yes.
She's the other guy's sister, but I don't really know what her role is yet.
Yeah, I'm assuming she's going to have some powers to it. I don't think we know yet, but
yeah. But yeah, so her and the two guys and the one guy from the white dude organization and Miss True and Penance, they're all just standing around talking. It was very awkward.
Yeah.
But it was cool to see that whole scene play out. And then all hell breaks loose. They're watching the opera. Mm-hmm. Malady comes bursting out, slices.
The devil comes out.
Yep.
Of the floor.
Trap. Yeah.
And Faust, and there's firecrackers. Everybody screams, but you know they all thought it was going to be good fun. But then the opera singer all of a sudden has blood coming out of his neck. He falls over, and behind him,
Malady.
Yeah.
And she says, "I killed the devil."
Why is no one cheering? I killed the devil. And then she goes on a 25-minute diatribe about God.
Yes. And she's with a woman that has fireballs and a guy with a machine gun arm.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
woman was like super tall.
Yeah. So then I was like, so this is like the, like the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants or whatever. So it's like you've got the good mutants and the X-Men versus like, the bad mutants.
Yeah.
And then they just start, whatever she says, then they just start attacking the audience. The dude literally just like shoots a whole bunch of people.
And I'm like, why is nobody leaving? I would have ran the hell out of there.
Yeah. Well, at one point, some guy stood up and she was like, sit down.
Unless maybe that is her power. Maybe she's like mind manipulation.
That's true. Maybe. I don't know. Yeah,
like
because definitely like
Sauron, he's got that voice where he like wall people into like listening to him. Maybe that was her.
Maybe everybody was very captivated, so it's possible. But so as all hell breaks loose, then the two heroes go to try to stop her. One of my favorite scenes when they're running down the stairwell and Amalia True jumps down the center of it, and her billowing dress catches on some like stakes or whatever, and she just slides out, and it makes like a comedic like noise, like she just pops out, and then she just does this superhero landing and starts beating the shit out of everybody. I was like, I thought it was amazing.
Now just to recap for one moment too, they're running away because they've abducted. There's somebody. Melanie is looking for an angel. She said she keeps saying, she's like, "Where's the angel of God?" And finally, after they start shooting the audience, this girl in the back with beautiful red hair opens up her mouth and starts singing, and again, almost like captivating them all. But you see tendrils of like blue going into specific people's bodies.
Yep.
And almost as like, so I don't know if she's identifying them or she's like bringing part of their soul out or what she was, but she's Cerebro.
She is finding the touched. So there we saw a couple men get lit up.
That's when we saw the men. Yes. At that point, we didn't know that men could have it.
Yep.
Right.
So, another X-Men ref.
Right.
So she obviously wants her to maybe, I don't know, recruit others or find others to like, I don't know. We haven't gotten that far. Yep. But she steals her, gets away.
Yep. And that was when they had that big fight down at the bottom. Melody against True, when True was, punching her, fighting her, kicking her, and kind of looked like she was winning for a while, but then Melody had like her eyes turned like red, and then just like used her head and just like bashed her like 5 times.
Headbutt the shit out of her. Crazy. I love that scene. It was crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then one other scene that really had nothing to do with it, just to add more bullshit to this story, was we saw a mad scientist working on somebody.
Yes, right.
So,
I forgot about that.
That it was just a snippet, and it was like, all right, let's just add more. Let's keep throwing more into this episode. Like
right at the head, right?
He was drilling into somebody's head.
So I'm assuming that they're going to be connected to Melody, and there's some connection with that group.
Yeah,
I think that's what that's going to be, and he's experimented on mutants or the touched now here.
Yeah. And then the final scene, we get to see what happened 3 years ago. We see, we're back to the beginning. All these people are, now that we know who the players are, we see that Melody was being dragged away to an insane asylum.
Yep.
Ms. True was the one who was trying to, I guess, kill herself by jumping in the water.
Right.
And what were some others? We saw the doctor. I think he was already a doctor.
Yep. We saw the what's her name? The guy and the woman in the wheelchair, Lavinia, pushing each other, and they both seemed like stunned, and then they both kind of looked at each other like, did you also just lose track of time? But they did, like, unspoken. Yeah. So in that time period, we then see like an alien spacecraft just sprinkling dust on people. And then valley dust.
Yeah, it was like it was like chemtrails. This is what everybody's just talking about.
Like the Lana Del Rey new album.
The government is trying to turn us into touched with the chemtrails.
Yes.
But yeah, then the ship itself dissolves, and everybody who was frozen staring at this thing, who was getting these dust on them, was like, whoa. They just forgot that happened, just went on living their life like everything else. Oh, one important thing we did see, the main guy, the Lord, who is on the team against the touched, was picking up his daughter from school or whatever. Yeah, like the white guy society. Yeah. Yes. She gets some of this dust on her and then falls, either dies or becomes sick or whatever. So we're seeing why he feels the way he feels about about the touched and the whole thing that happened. So I thought that was interesting. I found that interesting too, how there may be other people we don't know now that may have died or suffered from this, because we've only known at this point people who have transformed to become more powerful, it seems like, or actualized. Yeah, because it's so, like, they do even say like they like that it became, people became grotesque or that, like, deformities, and they're like, well, no, not entirely. That's not entirely true. Oh, right. Because the one guy does ask, like, what's your deformity or something? Yeah. Right? Yeah. So, but yeah, and then it ended. It was like I said, a jam-packed hour-long thing. And before we get into talking about our rating, I want to know, Keith, what if you were touched? What would your power be? I mean, I could choose any I want. Yeah, let's go with that. What would, if you could have a power, what would it be? I feel like I know most of your favorites. Well, I mean, so I've always wanted healing abilities, obviously, but I also want, low-level telekinesis as well. So we've talked before about this, and I think this would be a great episode. I would take over for the doctor. I would develop low-level telekinesis and healing, and I would use scalpels as my weapon that they would rotate around my head and shoot them at people when they came to challenge me or my patients. Now, do you have like telepathy at all, or just telekinesis? I don't want to be omnipotent, so no telepathy in this scenario. I'm okay with just moderate healing abilities, magical in nature. Obviously, I've got the intellectual background too to kind of learn what I'm using it for. Yes. And then low level, I can just lift things up light with my mind. But I can use them as weapons, knives, those kinds of things. Yeah, I love it. How about you? What are we thinking for you here? Well, mine's more boring than that. I always just want to be indestructible. Okay. And I don't know if that says anything at a deeper level, like if my therapist would say anything about that, if I have like a fear of like injury or death. But I always like that. And to go along with that, I would have to have some sort of superior strength. Because just being like a normal, indestructible person just sounds kind of boring.
I mean, that's kind of like what's her name from Heroes, right?
Yeah, the cheerleader.
Wait, yeah. Hayden Penitentiary, yeah. She like fall off like the carousel and like, oh,
exactly. Yeah, and then she was just like, yeah. So I guess that's fine, but I would like to be more like Bruce Willis in Unbreakable, where he could like lift a ton of shit and then like, and probably I would still probably be afraid of water also. So I would probably be like Bruce Willis in Unbreakable, or there's a comic book character called Brit, and he is like completely indestructible. Like, and I always like that character too. So
now, does he have a fatal flaw? Like when Emma Frost turns into like diamond form if you find the one area, you know what, or mentally, or
no, he's British.
Oh, so he's not.
That's his fatal flaw.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So
okay. I mean, I think both of ours are definitely feasible.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like you're having quite a few like, high levels for your stacking, but I think that's fine.
I didn't say like super strength. Just I want to be, when I punch someone, I just want them to know that I punched them.
Like maybe they fly back into the wall or something.
Yeah,
like
a little bit.
But okay. So I'm going to we'll give you at least moderate durability and lower level, but above average strength. So like you're like a bodybuilder strength guy, even though you're normal size.
All right. I would like a little bit higher level of durability instead of just moderate durability.
Out of a 7-point scale, like the old Marvel cards used to have, you're going to have a 5 for durability. Okay.
All right.
That's above a 4, which would have been probably what I would have given you but now that you complained,
like where's like,
but your strength is only going to be a 4, so just above average.
Where's Colossus on the 7-point scale? He's like a 7.
Colossus is probably like 6.
All right.
I mean, I don't think I'm gonna be. Remember now, this is not X-Men Mutants. This is Touch. You only got like a
You're right.
of the pixie dust.
All right. I'll take a 5. I'll take a 5.
Yeah. I mean, come on now. I mean, now I get a 7 for my healing abilities. Just kidding. Just kidding.
I wonder if there's gonna be like Omega level touched characters in this. Like if there's some that are more powerful, because everybody's kind of on even keel as far as the powers go.
I mean, that's what I'm thinking is going to eventually happen with the scientist guy, is that he's going to find ways to like make these people into like his Frankenstein puppets and make them like super hyper.
Yeah.
I don't know though. Yeah. That's my conjecture.
Yeah, no, I think it's and I'm eager to find out. Like I really, really, really enjoyed this episode.
Yeah. I mean, there's people that we don't know much about either. There's a whole slew of characters that we know must be touched in some way, but they never exhibit any powers. We saw one girl, for instance, showing us her Earth power briefly.
Yes.
And that which reminded me of Tara, was it, from our Wings?
Yeah.
And then there's another girl, and she's like a lovelorn girl, and she's trying to always get with this guy who's and we don't know anything about her.
Yeah, there was a whole bunch, and then even at the end when they showed them all sleeping in the room or whatever, there was like one girl that was like glowing. I mean, and that's just in that one spot. Like, and then even at the opera when we saw all these tendrils of light coming out, they went to a whole bunch of people too. So like, I mean, the possibilities are endless for all the powers that we'll see, and for being the first episode, it didn't skirt around that at all. It was like, here's powers, they're using them. Like this was the most in a world of comic book movies and TV shows, this was the most comic book like thing that I've watched in a long time.
Yeah.
With like just the way it all played out, even like like I said, like some of the effects and the sound effects were very much just like heavy-handed comic booky, like almost cheesy even, like over the top. And I loved it. I thought it was so much fun.
I did too. I mean, and that was to me, that's Joss Whedon at his best. His personal life and the way that he works with people might be awful, and it sounds like it is awful. But if you do appreciate his view of, his cinematic view and how he puts together characters and such, I mean, he hits it out of the ballpark. I felt for this series or this show, at least it had the best of Firefly, the best of Buffy. It was just kind of coming into it again.
Yeah. and a lot from, like I said, like that X-Men run. Like he definitely like brought his love of comics into the show.
Yep.
And it definitely shows. It was I think this is the best X-Men stuff that we've had, you know, on TV or film since like we were introduced to like the X-Men, like initially the Patrick Stewart stuff, or the 90s cartoon even. Yeah. But no, I think like that the first movie was good because it was fresh. It was, you know, but like for me, all the other X-Men's after that just kind of stunk.
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't stink. Age of Apocalypse stunk. That one was terrible. But like First Class was good. But then with the time jumping and stuff, I always lose me if there's like time stuff involved.
Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely was a fan of this. If there was a full season, I definitely would have binged it. I'm very much looking forward to next weekend to episode 2 to see if it could keep up the momentum. What was your rating?
Same thing, definitely. Practically we can't binge it because of how it's being rolled on HBO. But I would have loved to watch another episode right away.
Absolutely,
that wasn't an option. So
just like you said, just to see like what other like cool powers there's going to be, what other cool characters,
and where else are they going to go in London? What else are we going to see? You know, I'm excited about that. Yeah, and honestly, the one thing I do want to see more of, which I was a little disappointed in, is that, and maybe I'm not judging it fairly though, is getting the whole group camaraderie. At this point, I really didn't. It seems like there's a bunch of like a separate people, and they're all kind of tangentially connected, and I'm sure they're going to come together. But you know how Buffy and Firefly, they had like a distinct crew, and they all had like, you know, whatever you're looking for. X-Men obviously had that all built in too. This one really have, obviously they're like we're starting to learn more about Penitence.
Yes.
Yeah, but Penance and True are really like the dynamic duo that we see most often, and everybody else is kind of tangential at this point. And so hopefully there'll be more people besides them. I like them, but I like when there's a big group dynamic, like Star Trek Next Generation or those kinds of things. Yeah,
and it was only the first episode, so you know, getting all the players out there, which there were more than enough of them. And now hopefully we'll see some sort of dynamic between them.
Yeah, because the witty banter back and forth is like they only really had one part of that. When they're all meeting in the opera, and that's kind of the fun. Another really fun component of Joss Whedon's work usually.
Now, one thing that will be interesting to see. So Joss is no longer associated with the show. He left after 6 episodes. So after 6 episodes, the production stopped due to COVID. And the way that the season's going to come out is going to be the first 6 episodes are going to come out, and then there'll be a break, and then the final 4 episodes. And the final 4 episodes are now run by Philippa Goslett. She's the new showrunner. So we'll see, like, if you know how things transition and how they change.
I think that'd be great. I'm excited to see it. That is actually really cool, and to know what's good. I mean, I'm actually that could be really neat actually, because since it does seem like there is definitely some kind of gender story to be told here. That we don't, obviously it's just the first episode, but to think about it from a guy's point of view as director and director.
Everything, he
and
did
now
it all.
switching over to a woman doing it might be kind of cool to see how the characters might evolve differently, or you know, it'd be neat to see what happens. I'm excited about that.
Yeah, definitely. You know, hopefully they said that the first 6 episodes it had a logical stopping point too. So it seems like it'll make it easier for her to continue the next 4 if she's able to have like a fresh start over instead of like trying to finish like what somebody started, you know? So so hopefully it will continue to be as good as the first episode. My only gripe was that there was just too much thrown in. It was just too heavy-handed trying to get all these stories out there. But you know, that being said, it did leave me wanting more because I wanted to know more about all these stories. So we'll see. That right there is the Nevers. You know, leave a comment, let us know what you thought if you watched the show. Send us a message. Next up, first thing before we go, we're going to get into our big First Eps Favorites Box giveaway. We've got the winner. We're going to pick the winner right now coming up. And
can't wait.
Yeah. So that will be exciting. There'll be a whole bunch more of these First Eps favorites. We had a lot of fun putting it out there. Getting to meet new people through this. Hopefully, if you found the show through like the giveaway, you enjoyed the show and you'll stick around for more. But if not, whatever. Do your thing. I'm glad that you found us one way or the other. But
if not, it's a disappointment to us both. But we will get by, and I'm sure you will too.
Yeah, exactly. We appreciate you just at least giving us a shot.
Yeah.
So, all that being said, thank you so much for watching this episode of First Eps. If you're watching it on YouTube, subscribe to the channel. Pop Culture Playground, tons of cool content out there, from video games to wrestling, movie reviews, this podcast here.
If you work your butt off. It's a whole media empire you are pulling out here. It's impressive.
We're churning it out. It's all happening. But yeah, I would love if you were to subscribe. The more subscribers, the more quality content that we could put out. And if you're listening on a podcast service, leave us a 5-star rating, leave us a review, and because those are huge. Like, I would love to have more of those. So I really do appreciate, everybody checking this out. The whole community, since we started doing this, has been awesome. And to top it all off, we're having super fun doing it. So, So thank you so much, and we'll see you next time. All right, Keith, now it is time for our big giveaway. So what we're going to do, I've got everybody assigned a number. You're going to run the random number generator. I might even be able to.
165, right?
156.
Oops, my dyslexia coming through. Okay. 156. Okay.
Yeah, so let it rip, and I'll let you know who our big winner is.
Do you want me to broadcast my screen?
No, I could probably even see it in the reflection of your glasses.
Okay. 106.
106. That is West Star MMG. You are the big winner. They were from Instagram. So thank you for following us on Instagram, for checking it out. We're going to be doing more of these favorites boxes, hopefully pretty regularly. So, stick around. If you didn't win, there will be another chance to get in there. A whole bunch of different other prizes, but kind of a similar thing every time. There's going to be just all our favorite stuff just thrown in there.
I am thrilled. That was so much fun.
Yeah. So I will contact you via Instagram, and,
congratulations.
Congrats. Thanks for following. Thanks for watching. And I'll get your info on Instagram.
Do you see him at all or not?
I do.
Okay. Hey, Leo. Hi.
Hi, Leo.
Oh, okay. He might be leaving now. Oh, yep, he's gone now.
Fortunately, the post-credit scene, so, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
No, everyone knows that's where the best stuff happens.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Leo's like the Nick Fury of First Eps. Nick Fury.
Nick Fury, yes.